In Japan's leap from an isolated feudal society in the 1850s into a dynamic modern society in the 1900s. This is the story of how woodworkers and artisans rose up from their workbenches to build the required timber framing of a Japanese temple and reassemble it at the 1893 Columbian Exposition in Chicago, Illinois, that helped increase trade and restore Japan's national heritage and pride. It is also the life story of one woodworker from his apprenticeship through his recognition on the world stage as a master carpenter. It is quite a tale, and we hope you will join us for this woodworking adventure. Our woodworker was born in eastern Japan, in downtown Edo in 1852.
Konnichiwa.
At the age of 12, the son was taken to be sewed into apprenticeship near the Asakura Temple.
Come on, boy, hurry up.
On the way, the son was told that he would serve a 10-year apprenticeship with a carpenter called a Busshi and learn to carve religious objects at a nearby temple. Welcome. This is a new beginning. His master asked him if he had learned to read and write. The boy said no. Well, then you're doomed without your employees to do that work. You better aim to become a master carpenter. You see that our workbench is low because we sit on the floor. So you'll be judged on your growing knowledge of your tools and your skills with them, your ability to create beauty, and your capacity to work at an incredible speed. The boy went to the client's home, set up his workbench in the alley, and began to cut wood to the needed dimensions. The apprentice cut the dovetails with his chisels and then joined together the sides with his hammer. Soon his project was stained and given to a grateful family. And time passed quickly.
助けて。
He was told that he had completed his apprenticeship and now would be adopted into the master's family. During his breaks, he often discussed current events with his friend from the university. Their key discussion revolved around Japan's dangerous flirtation with the West and how to restore national pride and heritage. Both felt that America must be taught that Japan had a longer and more sophisticated culture. One day, his friend told him of the first national art exhibition that was sponsored by the emperor. And Takamura-san entered one of his sculptures. He joined a private group of government officials called the Dragon Pond Society to protect and promote the country's traditional arts in future international exhibitions.
Well, gentlemen, this display beats anything you can find in Tokyo.
He returned to Japan with even a stronger conviction of the superiority of Japanese art.
Mr. Speaker, the final tally in this matter is the City of Chicago by a vote of 157 votes out of 333 cast.
The event was scheduled to celebrate the progress that America had made in the last 400 years since Columbus discovered the New World. In Chicago, Dan Berlin, as the key American architect, began to break ground on his World's Fair. Teams of men and horses began to break the soil and dig the canals for the fair. He planned a neoclassical wonderland that would be nicknamed the White City. It consisted of 200 new but deliberately temporary buildings, canals, lagoons, and inviting cultures from 46 countries. Because of the restraints of time and dollars, many of the buildings were covered with plaster and painted with spray paint. But from 3 feet away, they looked wonderful. Japan proposed to construct all the essential parts of a Japanese temple to serve as the nation's pavilion. The parts were then to be shipped to America and assembled in Chicago. Representatives of the Emperor convinced the representatives of the World Fair Commission that Japan should build its pavilion on a wooded island in Jackson Park. The joints were cut and then marked and set aside for overseas shipment. A crew of needed carpenters and artisans were told that they would be arriving in one of the worst winters in Illinois history.
Swing the crane around.
For the cold weather, the workers wore jackets that were edged with their company logo. They unloaded their lumber and began to drive in the beams for their temple. Guys, could you move back? Construction was also covered in a featured story in a national magazine. The reporter said that the crowds loved to watch those odd, merry, and industrious Japanese artisans.
On this date, I acknowledge the long continuity of the Japanese civilization and dedicate this temple
The exterior of the pavilion consisted of 3 different buildings designed to show 3 different time periods in Japanese history. The beams supported 3 large and gently curved copper roofs with eaves that extended far beyond the thin, movable walls. Guests were encouraged to sit on the woven mats and contemplate the artwork, such as this painting of phoenixes at play. To the right, the architect had designed a tea room that was in use in medieval Japan around 1350 AD. The building to the left represents the residence of an aristocrat that lived around 880 AD in the feudal period.
助けて
Most guests departed, commenting that Japan had a civilization a lot longer than America, and how they were impressed that the pavilion was built without nails. The 1893 Columbian Exposition ran for 6 months and closed in October 1893. In that time period, roughly 12 million people attended, or 1/5 of the population in America. Japanese exports to America doubled in the next 5 years. In 1893, almost all of the Japanese art projects submitted to the fair's Palace of Fine Arts were rejected as only having decorative qualities. However, to the glory of Japan, Takamura-san's carving of an aged monkey won first prize. Takamura-san wore that medal every day the rest of his life.